PRARAMBH, the Startup India International Summit, began on Friday. Organized by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, the two-day summit marks the 5th anniversary of the Startup India initiative launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 16th January 2016. The summit also comes as a follow-up of the announcement made by the Prime Minister at the 4th BIMSTEC Summit held in Kathmandu in August 2018, wherein India committed to host the BIMSTEC Startup Conclave. With participation from over 25 countries and more than 200 global speakers, the summit is the largest startup confluence organized by the government since the launch of the Startup India initiative. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing the global summit on Saturday. So on this edition of The Big Picture today, we will talk about the objectives of the Startup India International Summit and discuss with experts the startup landscape and their growth in India. For this, I am joined on the program today by Mr. R. Ramanan, Mission Director of the Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, Mr. Ramesh Kailasham, CEO, IndiaTech.org, and Mr. Ashneet Grover, co-founder and CEO, BharatPe. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Mr. Ramanan, let me begin the program with you. Let's first try and understand the objectives and focus of the Startup India International Summit, PRARAMBH.
Thank you, Tina, for organizing and giving me an opportunity to share a few thoughts on this particular very, very important and momentous occasion of the launch of PRARAMBH. PRARAMBH, as you rightly pointed out, is one of the largest startup global summit being organized by Startup India since its inception. Startup India began in 2016, January 16th, when the Prime Minister inaugurated that. And Startup India has played a very, very important role in cultivating and growing the ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of our country, including many other organizations like Atal Innovation Mission, the Department of Science and Technology, and the Department of Biotechnology. The purpose of this summit is, first of all, a fulfillment of a commitment that the Honorable Prime Minister had made in the summit in 2018 among the BIMSTEC countries for hosting the BIMSTEC conclave. And this is the right moment to be able to organize such a summit. India is a startup nation. It is one of the fastest growing innovative nations of the world. And all the BIMSTEC countries are dependent upon the growth of innovation and entrepreneurship and startups in their respective countries, and to be able to collaborate with each other, to be able to find the opportunities between the countries as well as across the global landscape. As you are all aware, and as everyone is aware, the COVID-19 has been unprecedented in terms of its impact, and the need for innovation and entrepreneurship has never been felt more than at this point in time. In fact, the COVID-19 was also a watershed moment in the history of India, where startups rose splendidly to the occasion. And during such a pandemic year, we have had growth of 11 unicorns from India. We had more than 1,500 startups offering preventive, assistive, and some curative solutions for addressing COVID-19 as well as problems in a post-COVID-19 world. Now, this COVID-19 summit is focusing, or this Startup Global Summit or PRARAMBH Summit is focusing on how we can bring to fore the best practices in the BIMSTEC countries and what they are doing in the incubation innovation ecosystem, and how we can collaborate together more effectively to address not only the challenges that we face, but also to leverage the benefits of technology, advancing fast, available, affordable, and accessible technology for the benefit of innovation and communication between our countries and for extending cooperation. It is also an opportunity to showcase great startups and innovations, frugal innovations, which have come up not only in the Indian landscape, but in other countries. And for being able to attract domestic and global capital through access to what is happening in the startup ecosystem. It provides a great platform for a continued dialogue between our countries, the BIMSTEC countries, to be able to see how we can address the collective demand. The Honorable Prime Minister in Atmanirbhar Bharat talked about 5 pillars which are common for all the countries. the pillar of demographic dividend, the pillar of infrastructure, the pillar of demand, the pillar of socio-economic progress, and the pillar of technology and systems. This particular startup summit brings all of them together to the fore to be able to deliberate and contemplate on how we can grow up as startup nations across in this region and be able to address this pent-up demand and the opportunities that it presents.
Okay. Mr. Grover, so with the focus to come forward and grow as the startup nation in this region, the largest startup confluence has been organized by the government, and it's the largest one since the launch of the Startup India initiative. So how do you see it helping the startups in our country, especially if we talk about the young entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I think it's a great initiative by the government. What happens with startups is, if you look at the last 5 years, and if you look at how much capital has been brought into the country, or how much new employment has been generated, I think startups, if you were to consider startup as a single sector, would be the biggest contributor. Now, the unfortunate part of it is that a lot of the startup founders are first-time founders. They're building their businesses. They're very busy with that. So they don't get time to make the right representations to the government. The needs of the startups are largely get unheard, or get lost in sometimes in all the noise and all the busyness of building a business from ground up. So a confluence like this provides a great opportunity for people to step back, realize what they are contributing to the country, and at the right time put it in front of the government and the right stakeholders in terms of what we need more to grow, and how if we were to grow more, the economy could grow even many times over.
Mr. Kailasham, coming to you now. PRARAMBH is the largest conference, of course, but it also marks 5 years of the government's flagship program, the Startup India initiative. If we look back at the 5-year journey of this flagship initiative, how has it been? How has it strengthened the startup ecosystem in the country?
I would say it has been quite an interesting journey over the last 5 years. We have been interacting with the government on a range of issues that the startups and their founders are facing, in fact, for the last 3 years or so. But if I look back, I mean, if you look at what India has achieved over the past so many years, we had the first ride when the IT and the BPO sector and the IT-enabled services took off, which triggered the massive employment generation in the new age economy. Post that, this has been the next big wave that India has been able to ride on. And I would hold fundamentally 2 reasons for that. One, of course, is certainly the thrust that the government gave towards recognizing the fact that startups need to be encouraged, because there is a limit to which the traditional old age economy would have created livelihoods and employment. We have 15 to 20 lakh children every year passing out from the schools and colleges. And it was necessary that this wave was critical to be nurtured, not only to create livelihoods, but also for India to step into the new age economy. Because if you look at what the IT and the BPO sector and the IT-enabled services and the software did, was to push India into one particular aspect of the technology wave. What startups have done is actually take it further, because you have different kinds of startups today. I mean, if you look at the 5-year journey so far, not only has it triggered innovation in India, it has also triggered entrepreneurship, something that most of us in the society were looking at differently. Earlier, it was more like, can I pass out and can I get a job? Now there is an increased amount of confidence amongst the youth that maybe I should be starting something on my own and give employment to people. So that, I think, is a major societal change that this whole initiative has brought about. But of course, all of them come with teething problems, because each sector, when it grows, and we live in a democracy, we are bound to have issues. And there have been a range of things that we identified, because one of the critical things, if you look at today, where we look back in the 5-year journey, we are the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. That's quite phenomenal. We have close to 42 to 43,000 startups registered till date, which is phenomenal. And if you look at, the more important thing is, there has also been a cohesive journey with the states jumping in. Today, we have 29 states and UTs who have a state startup policy, which kind of helps this whole handholding aspect, both with the center and the state looking at it. If you look at the kind of startups, I mean, we have close to around 20 varieties of startups today. And this is something I would like to bring to the fold, because we often carry this notion that a startup would be something which builds an app and that's it. Well, you have 20 varieties of it. You have right from the basic starting point of retail e-commerce startups to health, to edutech, to agri-tech, to food tech, to even you have EVs and battery swap models and travel and tourism, financial services, fintech. You have somebody from fintech with you. You have tourism, you have insurance, social media, which is again picking up. And more importantly, after the Prime Minister's call, gaming is also a serious area where India is picking up. Different type of gaming startups are emerging in different forms. All of them do require regulation in some form or the other, or support. Then, of course, we have the Internet of Things, the biotech, the M2Ms, and so on. So we have so many varieties. I mean, logistics is also picking up. So you have so many varieties of startups which are coming up, and these are of different sectors. And therefore, when you emerge in different sectors, obviously a one-size-fits-all approach will not apply as the government tries to work out. Different ministries have to be taken along, and this has to be a collaborative effort. I think you have Niti Aayog, the program, Mr. Ramanan is there. So Niti Aayog, DPIIT, all the stakeholders jointly need to continue to engage with us in the industry, and they are doing a good job of it. But more needs to be done. And I have
Definitely.
a list of demands.
So on the challenges and the possible solutions that the government can provide, we'll take that up in a while. But Mr. Ramanan, when we talk about the thrust that the government has given to the startup culture in India, that has led India to becoming the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, what are the efforts that have been undertaken in the last 5 years, and the government continues to do so, to nurture innovation and also empower the startups in India?
It's a very important question, and it's a very important thing to realize how much the government has done to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and the startup community in the India. We were 5 years ago at a position of 81 in the Global Innovation Index. Today, we are in the top 50. We are 48 in that position. Just in 5 years, we have jumped up by almost 36 places in the Global Innovation Index. Now, that has happened because of the tremendous thrust through various initiatives that the government has done in the government in innovation. That has been the Stand Up India policy to ensure that grassroots innovations at an entrepreneurial level is getting stimulated. We have had the fund of funds, which has more than 1.3 billion fund of funds has been to encourage the startup community and to be able to provide funding capability to the startup community. Atal Innovation Mission was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister under Niti Aayog with a very holistic framework. At the school level, thousands of tinkering labs called Atal Tinkering Labs have been launched, so that these become dedicated innovation workspaces in schools between grade 6 to grade 12 to nurture a problem-solving, innovative mindset in our young students. And then when they go into the universities, we are having world-class incubators being set up by a number of institutions like Atal Innovation Mission or DST, DBT, and so on. Today, we have more than 400 incubators in India. More than 55,000 startups. And that is an amazing number to have grown in the last few years. Also, the government is launching a number of challenges along with various ministries. We have Atal New India challenges and Arise challenges, applied research and innovation for small enterprises.